Hello, and welcome back to the studio. I'm Dr. Wiggo, and today we're going to talk about all of Apple's software announcements at their Worldwide Developers Conference on Monday. And it was a little different from previous ones. For one thing, they didn't do it by operating system anymore. They did all the platforms at once, and here's all the stuff that's going to work across iOS and iPadOS and visionOS, watchOS, etc. So I'm going to cover it the same way they did. So the next chapter will be about platform improvements, and there are a lot, and trust and safety, which is really about parental controls, but they spent a lot of time on it for reasons I'll talk about in my take at the end. Then Apple Intelligence and Siri. Yes, they claim we're getting Smart Siri finally. Then I'm going to throw in a few caveats in the chapter after that, things they kind of glossed over but you need to be aware of. And then the chapter after that will be my take on everything I just talked about, and that they talked about. So platform improvements, they really did a lot. Oh, and they also told us that macOS 27 is going to be called Golden Gate. But they started out with kind of an apology of sorts. They didn't actually say they're sorry, but they said things like, we've listened to your feedback and we care what you think, and we've made a lot of these changes because people bitched about them. And then the first new feature they covered was a slider for liquid glass. Now there's a slider that you can slide to the left to make liquid glass more clear and all the way to the right to make it more opaque. So they kept moving the bar here and they finally decided, you do it. Then they talked about things like sidebars on windows will now go all the way to the edge of the window and not kind of float above them, which kind of confused people. And now developers can have colors in their sidebars in their apps. And they've redesigned icons to make them more liquid glassy, kind of maybe. They're good looking. Look at the ones I'm showing you on the screen. But then they moved on to responsiveness, which is what people have really been complaining about. Apps will launch up to 30% faster. New photos will appear into the Photos app up to 70% faster. AirDrop will be up to 80% faster. Browsing and transfers and files on iPadOS will be up to 5 times faster. They've redesigned search to make it faster. And they've got a new CPU scheduler that they spent a lot of time talking about. This presentation was for developers. But the new CPU scheduler will speed up older phones all the way back to iPhone 11. So a lot of these things launching faster and all that is going to happen on older phones. Usually the complaint about new Apple operating systems is they make older devices slower, but this one is specifically designed to make older ones faster. Then they finally got into a few new features. Shared photo albums now will support Android and Windows. So if you have family and friends who want to share a photo album, they can put photos in your album from Android and Windows. Customizable equalization for AirPods. Custom environments in visionOS. You can take your panoramic pictures and turn them into an environment like the ones that come built into the visionOS. Oh, and Flyover in Maps has been upgraded so the buildings look better and the trees look better and everything looks better. Well, you should be looking at that right now. Then they did a long section on trust and safety where they talked about how their models are safe and they're cloud things and they protect you. But mainly what they wanted to talk about were their greatly enhanced child safety features. Using American Academy of Pediatrics guidelines, you can control which apps kids can see and they'll need permission from you to add a new app. You control who kids text, and you need permission to add a new contact. Incoming photos will automatically be checked for nudity and optionally violence so that they can spare your children. They've greatly expanded time allowances for screen time by type, by app, by day, by hour of day. So you can restrict your kids while they're at school to doing almost nothing, but then at night you can let them do stuff, but only for so long. And then we get to Apple Intelligence and Siri. Not a rerun of 2 years ago. The new Siri is called Siri with Apple Intelligence, and they abbreviate that to Siri AI. Clever. And they stressed strongly that these are Apple's foundation models that are based on Google Gemini. Siri does not use Gemini. It uses Apple's own models that were improved by Gemini's models. The new Siri gets like customized voices and you can like control how fast it talks and how expressive it is. Does it just talk into a monotone or does it go up and down? With better dictation and it's more conversational. On macOS, Siri will be integrated into Spotlight so that you can do Siri stuff from Spotlight. So when you're searching for apps or searching for files, you can also use Siri to search for things. And there's a new dedicated Siri app with a conversation history, so all the things you searched for before you can go back and look at again. And there will be a Siri app on all of Apple's platforms, even watchOS, so you'll be able to ask Siri things from your watch. Visual intelligence also gets upgrades. For one thing, it'll be easier to get to because you don't have to just click on the camera thing. And when you're in the camera, there'll be a Siri button, so you can go do all the visual intelligence stuff there. And you can use it to identify pictures. A cool thing they showed off was splitting checks from receipts. You point the camera at a receipt, and then it will figure it all out, and then you can figure out who ordered what, and then split the check. Another example they showed was taking a picture of a poster and then creating calendar items based on the things on the poster. And then there's a whole bunch of things Siri will do that will power other apps, like automatically group Safari tabs by topic for you, or watch a web page for updates and notify you if anything changes. Only once a day, so not for scalpers. Siri will create custom extensions for Safari, and the password app can now automatically update your passwords. You'll click a button, it'll go on to the website, log on, change your compromised password to a new hard password. For people that use the Home app with cameras, well, now it will support up to 4K cameras, and it will do app notifications much more cleverly. Instead of just an alert every time it sees something, it can group them together by context and by event. For people like me who love the idea of shortcuts, macros for you old guys, well, now you can just describe what you want the shortcut to do, and Siri will create it, so you don't have to go through that semi-programming interface that tells you what to do, and that's a little hard to understand. In the Photos app and the Camera app, they've added 3 new buttons. Clean Up, and it's way improved over the old Clean Up. And Extend, where if you have a picture of someone and it's too tight on them, you can expand it out and it will generate the surroundings around it. And Spatial Reframing. This is stuff they stole from the Vision Pro. So see, the Vision Pro was good for something, at least the software development. But spatial reframing is amazing. You took a picture of your kids, but you weren't right in front of your kids because maybe there were other parents there and so you were farther down the line. Well, now you'll be able to go in and it will use the Vision Pro stuff where it will turn it into a depth model, and then you can move things around so that your kids are right in front of you looking into your camera, even if they weren't looking into the camera, and then it will generate the stuff it needs to fill the rest of the picture out. Kind of cool. Now, there are some caveats, and they did mention these, but very briefly. Like, image generation is limited, but you can buy more with an iCloud Plus subscription. And that most powerful on-device model that has the expressive voices and advanced dictation, that's only on the iPhone Air 17 Pro, iPad M4 and higher, Mac with M3 and later. But they say everything else will work on older phones as long as they were made for Apple Intelligence. Also, Siri AI will not be coming to EU on iOS or iPadOS, but it will on macOS. Because the EU will not let you favor your own AI models, you have to be able to use ChatGPT or any model you want, and Apple says that's not going to work with Siri AI. So if you're in the EU, you may not get this for a long, long time, or in China, you may not get it at all. Apple says they're working on the regulatory environment, which means China doesn't like this stuff. So what's my take on all this? Well, to start with, the event itself was done very differently. It was still on film, but it was done with shaky cameras and real-time demos where the person would be talking to the camera and have a phone, and then there was a camera aimed at the phone so that the phone was happening in real time. They didn't want to get any trouble like they did 2 years ago when they showed off all these demos of things that didn't exist yet. The platform improvements were very welcome, especially the speed, responsiveness, all those things. We really need a lot of that, especially if you have older phones and iPads. And the custom equalization for the AirPods was clearly for all the people who screamed that the AirPods Pro 3 were not the same sound quality as the AirPods Pro 2. The child safety stuff looks great, except the only reason they're doing this is because, like, Texas has already passed an age verification law, and there's going to be more laws coming. Plus, there have been lawsuits against the social media platforms. This is going to be sticking around for a while. Smart Siri looks very promising, but we've been at this dance before. But the people who've actually tried it, both at the event and in the developer beta, say it really looks like it's going to do what they say it's going to do this time. And the auto-updating the passwords and describing shortcuts is just fantastic. I have a lot more thoughts on the Smart Siri and the Apple Intelligence stuff. And rather than make this video last another 15 minutes, next week I'll do a much deeper dive into Siri AI and Apple Intelligence. And I'll also have the advantage of being able to watch all the videos of the people who've actually had this in their hands and used it and see what they thought. So I can give you a much more informed opinion next week. So come back for that. But those were the highlights of the Worldwide Developers Conference 26. So that's all for today. Thanks for stopping by. See you next time. Bye-bye. And next week, more on Siri AI and Apple Intelligence. Thanks for staying to the end. Bye-bye.